my turn. You told me it was my turn.
You can talk all that you want to, yell and scream. You lost.
It is my turn.
You lost the game.
It's my turn.
Welcome back to Kirill Smashes Acting. I'm Kirill, actor, educator, cat enthusiast. I hope that each and every one of you are staying safe, taking the necessary precautions, and of course, cuddling as many cats as possible during the quarantine. If you've ever thought about it before, this is a great time to foster an animal. You don't have to keep them when it's over, but it's a great way to give them exposure to people, places, and to get them ready for adoption. So if you never thought about it before, go foster an animal. Dog, cat, hamster, gerbil, rabbit, whatever you can do. It'll make such a huge difference for those animals when this is over and they're ready to be adopted. Thanks to you. Today we're covering a topic that I never even thought of until my second semester of grad school, and that is one-line auditions. I never thought of it because in theater, we don't do that. And up until I started grad school, I pretty much was strictly theater. Part of our curriculum in grad school was, of course, taking acting for the camera. Oddly enough, now I do way more acting for the camera than I do for theater, but that's a whole different story. So during my acting for the camera class, we had a ton of different auditions and styles we had to prepare for. And the one-line audition was the one that so many people got tripped up on because it seems like it should be so simple. Also, we as actors don't give it as much weight or attention as we should simply because we think that the part is going to be tiny, which is sometimes true. But does that mean that you want to not give your best effort just because the part isn't going to be huge? Somebody behind you will give their best effort, and you're going to miss out on an opportunity. So what is a one-line audition? A one-line audition is exactly what it sounds like. You get a script, usually your agent or the casting director sends it to you. You will get minimal background. So sometimes you'll get the beginning of the scene, sometimes, and you'll kind of get an idea of where you are. And that's it. It'll have your one line. Maybe another character will say something to you that will trigger it. Maybe not. And then it will have a little line that says end. And that's it. And you're going to get booked based on your audition for that one line. So if you think doing a one-line audition is easy because that's all it is, you're going to have to think again. So let's break down the process step by step so that when you get into the professional world and you get a one-line audition, you are ready to go. Step number one, after you've read all the details that you can and gotten as much information from your one page that you can, create a backstory. This goes several directions. Firstly, if it's a TV show and it's been running for a long time, watch some of the TV show, if not all of it, if you can. Do some research on the style and what kind of characters seem to be doing cameos, and really try to understand what the world of the story is. So that way you can create a backstory that fits into that world. If it's a movie, you probably only have 3 or 4 line description in the casting call that tells you what the movie's about. So that means you're really going to have to use your imagination to create your character and fit them into what you think the world and style of the show is. So why create a backstory for a character that only has one line? Fact is, you as an actor have to treat every single character as if they've been alive that whole time. Because that character didn't just wake up to ask if the main character wants fries. That character has goals, motivations, hopes, dreams, disappointments. And if you create a fully realized character, when you do go in for your one line, you're not just coming in out of nowhere from neutral. You're actually coming from somewhere, want something, and are affected by this short scene. So create a backstory. Number 2 is huge. Create a character arc. A beginning, middle, and end. Just because all you have is one line does not mean that as soon as you hit record, you go right into your one line. You need to have a place to start, to be affected by the story, and then to change and finish. Really think about what your character is doing when the scene begins. When you know what your character's doing as the scene begins, as soon as the camera goes up, you're already active, you're already going after an objective, and you don't seem like you just came from a neutral nowhere place. You seem like a real person. And that's one of the biggest difficulties for these kinds of auditions. You seem like a real person. And that's one of the biggest challenges in a one-line audition. Not just seeming like a prop, but like an actual character. By having a solid beginning where you're really doing something, you give your character a chance to be affected by the story, even if it's just for a short moment that you wouldn't have had otherwise if you just came in from a neutral place or you didn't think about what your character was doing or who they are. Now we come to the part everybody thinks is the beginning of your scene, which is the line, which is actually the middle of your scene. I call this the middle of your scene because this is when you're affected by whoever else is part of the story. You've had a moment on camera to do whatever you're doing, to give the audience an opinion of whichever characters you're interacting with. So let's say you're playing a store clerk, you might be cleaning up the register, and your objective might be to get a raise because you need it for your family. Someone comes in, before you ever say your line, you could take a moment to observe the other characters and use your inner monologue to really have an opinion about them. Because now we've already had 2 phases and you haven't even spoken. You've had the beginning where you're doing something, and you've had a moment to show us your opinion about other people in the scene. Now here comes the middle part. Your line, your interaction with other people in this world. This needs to be motivated by whatever is happening in the scene. If we're sticking with the store clerk idea, it's motivated by your opinion of this person. Do they seem like a friendly, happy customer? Well, then your line is going to be happy and friendly. Do they seem like a shifty customer? Well, then your line might be a little different. This gives you a chance as the actor to break down who your character is, who the other characters are, and how you feel about them. And if you've been watching the 101 videos, you know how important point of view is for your performance. So really make sure you're thinking about point of view and you're thinking about the other characters before you deliver the line. When you do get to deliver the line, have an objective with it. This objective should be based both on your backstory, using the store clerk, trying to get a raise, and your opinion of the other characters. How do we feel about them? Do we like them, not like them? What are you trying to do to the other characters? If you're the store clerk, are you trying to make their day better, or are you trying to get them out of the store faster? So based on your opinion and your backstory, all of a sudden we have a much more compelling one line than we did before. Now to the last part of the arc, the end or the aftermath, the result. Here's some questions you need to ask yourself. Did you get your objective? How did the other person respond to your lines? What is happening in the scene now that you've said your line? This is the time after your line where you get to show the camera and show the audience how your character feels about what just happened. If you got your objective, you might have a happy or optimistic inner monologue. If you didn't get it, you might have the opposite. But the point is, you have to know what is happening in your character's head based on that short scene you just went through, and you have to show it to us using your face and your inner monologue. The camera for this is close enough where the audience can almost read your mind. So you need to make sure you have a strong opinion as to what just happened, because if you do, that will make your character arc so much more solid. So now you've built a character arc. You have a beginning where a character was doing something. You have a middle where they interacted with the story and they tried to accomplish something, because you're always going after an objective. And you have an end where they've changed. This sounds so rudimentary, but with one-line auditions, it can be really challenging to create a genuine arc for your character. So if you can accomplish that, you automatically set yourself apart from a ton of other actors who are auditioning for the same part. What makes one-line auditions so hard to book is that oftentimes the casting director is seeing hundreds of one-line auditions for the same part. And they're all different kinds of types and different actors because they often don't know exactly what they want that character to look like. So by creating this arc and creating a genuine story for your character, you're automatically going to set yourself apart and give yourself the best chance possible. Pro tip, make sure that when you're creating the backstory and the arc for the character, whatever is happening in the scene is important to the character. It could be important for them socially, economically, politically, whatever you decide, but just make sure you fit it into the world of the story. I hope you enjoyed that video. Hit the like button, subscribe, share this with anyone you think might enjoy it. We'll be back in a few days with a lot more auditioning videos, but for now, say goodnight, Droogie. Good night, Droogie.